Good morning and welcome to Morning Moments. I am so glad that you made your this trip to see us today. And wherever you're watching, either you're on YouTube or watching this on Facebook, I have a guest all the way from Houston, Texas this morning, and she is Barbara Goodson. Have Shears will travel. I love the name. And
Goodson, actually.
Goodson. I'm sorry, Goodson. Goodson. I was working on getting the name of your charity together, and I messed up your name. I have it on my card, Goodson. I apologize for that. And anyway, she's got. I love the name. I'm an old Paladin guy anyway. I love that show, and so I love that you've taken that wonderful name from a Western. Barbara, tell us about yourself and your ministry and how this is all taken place.
Have Shears will travel. It unfolded pretty much in an instant, in the matter of 2 days. I lost my job in the oil and gas industry back in 2015. Our office closed, actually was closing, and I had attended a religious service with the bishop, and he was calling us all to community service. And I'd held a barber license since 1978, and I've done lots of haircuts for people shut in, or and that sort of thing, even though I maybe didn't work in a shop for many years. So I kept active in doing that just to help other people. So when I found out 2 days after hearing the bishop's message about community service, that we would be losing our job, and it was a very lucrative one, I might add, I sat my husband down and said, well, I know what we're going to do. I'm going to start a charity giving free haircuts. And he just looked at me and he said, okay. And that's how we started, with nothing. Basically, I had a gift, a talent to cut hair. And what I want to tell everyone out there really is that God can multiply your small gift, just like the feeding of the 5,000. You have a small gift, maybe a gift of gab, like you, Andy. But I mean, so I could cut hair. And so I called different agencies all across Houston, and I just throw my tools in my trunk, set up shop in a chair, electrical outlet. But that's progressed from back in 2015 when we had nothing to now we have 5 hairstylists. We have a 32-foot motorhome converted into a mobile hair salon with 2 styling stations. And at the peak of our service before COVID hit, we were doing over 650 haircuts a month, networking with over 40 different agencies throughout Houston. So I will say that it's all due to the glory of God, because this is not really about me. It's really about glorifying Him, bringing the kingdom of God to people all over Houston and greater Houston, those that need it most, the people that sit in our chair for a haircut are being transformed on the outside, but we hope and pray they're being transformed on the inside by the love of God, and empowered to maybe find a job, to help overcome any addictions maybe, because many of the people we serve are either homeless, they're maybe in hospice care, they're possibly a runaway teen, an orphan, they're recovering from alcohol or substance abuse, or maybe a victim of domestic violence, runaway. So these people we're serving really a lot of times feel that they have no dignity at all. And our tagline, Have Shears will travel, the tagline is enhancing the dignity of every client, because we believe that everyone that sits in our chair is worthy. Everyone that sits in our chair has dignity. They may not realize it, but we hope that we can empower them to see and feel the love of God, and to be empowered to move on in their life.
That's amazing when you could look good, even though you may not feel good. When somebody just takes the time to cut your hair and to wash it and to make you look for that day just a special person, it makes you special inside, so that they see that that's the way God sees them as well.
Yeah. Well, it's been coined by many religious organizations as a modern day foot washing. Mm-hmm. So you can kind of see the correlation between that, I guess, So yes, we're well received all around Houston, I got to say. And we're overflowing with business, and we're back. I mean, we only shut down a while for COVID, about 6 weeks, but then we're back on the road, and I'm very happy to report that we've never had one transmission of the case, not among our staff or any of the clients that we've served. We're very grateful for that.
When we were talking about your mission and what God has for you and how you reach people, it's just amazing how some of your stories has to do with, just as I've mentioned many times on my show before, just your availability, not your ability, although God give you may have some ability, but God takes your availability and he also equips you. And when I made that statement when we were talking, you go, that's a statement you make. Go ahead.
Yeah, when you were talking, Andy, and I said, yeah, that's so true, because I certainly wasn't equipped to start a business, because running a charity is a business. I mean, it's a nonprofit business, but you still have a budget. You still have to organize people. You still have to get the job done, if you will. But I have no degree. And, most of my career was in the oil and gas industry, which actually taught me a lot of things. I mean, I actually learned a lot of my organizational skills, really, that from the oil and gas industry really did help me build this, organization. But as you mentioned, when I started on this mission and kind of set my, face like a flint, if you will, to get this done, get her done, as they say in Texas, is that God doesn't necessarily call the equipped, but he does equip the called. And the bishop said to me when he was the honoree at one of our galas, Barbara, I'm doing this because you accepted God's call, because he believes that this is truly a mission that God's, empowered us with. And because he's seen the growth. I mean, it's just been an amazing journey, going from basically nothing to now we have 5 hairstylists, a 32-foot motorhome converted into a mobile hair salon, now working with 40 other agencies we've probably done over 30,000 haircuts since we started.
Barbara Goodson doesn't
Goodson.
Goodson. I'm sorry, Goodson. I messed it up again. I don't know how. Barbara Goodson, I'll get it right before this interview is over. Barbara Goodson doesn't just look to what God has for her. She wants to look beyond her generation and the next generation for this to continue. And I love the thoughts that she's preparing others to take over for what she started.
Yeah, because starting at my ripe old age, I mean, I'm 68 and a half. So I know my mission really is to be a good steward of this ministry. And in order to do that, I need to raise up leadership so that when I'm off the face of the earth, this mission can go on without me. So what started as me wearing every single hat, doing every single haircut, raising every single dollar, doing all the promotions, all the marketing, everything has now been passed on to others, including my son. I mentioned that he was a commercial driver and offered to drive the motorhome and do the mobile hair, drive it. And after doing it for a week said, gosh, I really want to do this full time. I said, well, you're no use without a hair cutting license. So we'll see if one of the foundations that we get grants from will give you a grant to get a barber license. And sure enough, $5,000 grant, he was able to get a barber license. And now he drives an RV every day. He cuts hair every day, and he organizes the schedule, networks with all the different agencies we serve, and helps monitor and oversee our workers.
One of the reasons I'm so excited about your work in Houston is, and I mentioned this to Barbara when we were talking, there's no reason why some of you that's listening to this can't say, well, we could do that in our community. We can duplicate that in Seattle or LA if it's not there already, or other places, because God takes your ability and your service and your skills. And he wants you. And some people go, well, what do I do? And Barbara said, she told me, she says, I told God all I could do is cut hair. And he goes, okay, that's okay. I could use that, and, but God's waiting for you to be willing to do something, and he'll give you direction.
Sure. And that's, we've had phone calls from New York, Florida, all different parts of the country that would be interested in doing this. And I've always said that we're willing to charter, have Shears will travel anywhere in the country, and I can map out a successful plan. I just don't have the physical ability to go run it, but they can run it. I mean, it's certainly, and one of the things we talked about too is that, well, two other things is the book. I want to write a book about all this experience, but mostly I want the book to be helpful to people that might have a small gift. And no matter what it is, the gift of gab, like Andy, or, cooking, who knows? I mean, whatever your gift may be, sewing, and maybe you can offer that to the community. God will bless it, multiply it, and help serve for the greater good, your community. You just never know what God has planned until you actually step out there in faith. Certainly, this has been a remarkable faith journey. As I mentioned to Andy earlier, that if I was to describe my faith journey in songs, it would not be the stairway to heaven, more like the long and winding road. But that's just the way my life has been. So what can I say?
What I'm going to do is I'm going to put Barbara's information down below in the comment section. And you could get a hold of her, or find out see the pictures of their traveling salon, and see how they've done their ministry and what they're doing, so that you could follow up with them. Also learn how you can support them either financially or through prayer. I'm holding a pair of scissors right now because often I tell people, think of something that helps remind you of one of my guests. Next time you see a pair of scissors in the kitchen, or the junk drawer, or in your office, you see a pair of scissors, you think, I'm going to pray for that lady in Houston that has this ministry of trimming hair and cutting hair. And so let this be a reminder to pray for them. And also let it be a reminder for you to seek God and say, God, what is your plan for my life? Because each and every one of you have a future, a hope, and God's got a plan for your life, and he wants you to fulfill it if you'll listen to him. God knows your heart. It's up to us to hear his voice, and he wants to use you, speak through you, use your gifts if you just let him. God's got a great plan for you. Barbara, thank you so much for sharing this with us. And thank you so much for spending a few moments with us today and this morning. May God richly bless you.
Thank you, Andy.
All right. And thank you for joining us for Morning Moments. And why don't you come on back and join us again. Till next time, may God richly bless you.